the reason why the Thunder did not pay Harden, I think they were Harden wanted $4 million more or $5 million, but they didn't give him that because they were being stubborn. And if you look at it now, the Thunder they were this close to being a championship team, because if you remember in 2016 they lost to the Warriors because they blew a 3-1 lead. So had KD stayed, or even if James Harden didn't go to the Rockets, they could have beat the Warriors in 2016, and it would have been a good matchup with the Cavs and the Thunder. And who knows, the Thunder could have blown out the Cavs the same way they blown out the Warriors 4-1. But because James Harden wasn't there, the Warriors are the Warriors today, and the Thunder aren't the Warriors, because the Warriors had three superstars and then 4 superstars when when Durant came. What could have been
roughly 2 future Hall of Famers enter the NBA every year. So it's rare for a franchise to draft a Hall of Famer, and it's almost impossible to select 2 future Hall of Famers in 2 consecutive drafts. But then there's the Oklahoma City Thunder, who drafted 3 future Hall of Famers in a row.
That's crazy though, bro. They have 3 future Hall of Famers. They have 3 future Hall of Famers now as well. SGA I can see him, if he keeps going up, he's for sure Hall of Famer. J-Dub might slip into it if he just gets a little better, and Chet is for sure gonna be a Hall of Famer. We already know that. That's crazy. The Thunder better not fumble again.
From 2007 to 2009, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden have all won MVP.
3 MVPs and y'all fumbled, bro. Oh, bro, I feel bad for the GM. Nah, I don't feel bad for the GM. This is what he gets.
They've scored over 80,000 points combined, with 9 scoring titles and 27 All-NBA selections. They were supposed to dominate the league for years and become a dynasty. But just before they all entered their prime, the Thunder decided to break apart their Big Three. This is the story of a trade that derailed a dynasty and the greatest team that never was.
U.S. District Judge Marcia Peckman was expected to issue her decision about whether the Sonics would have to stay in Seattle for 2 more years. Then exactly 1 hour later, the news was made public.
The NBA will be in Oklahoma City next season, playing their games.
In 2008, the Seattle Supersonics relocated to Oklahoma City and became the Thunder. But apart from inheriting Seattle's history and their 1979 championship banner, they also inherited their future. When Oklahoma got its NBA franchise, that package also contained Kevin Durant, who dominantly won the 2007 Rookie of the Year. The Thunder also held the number 4 pick in the 2008 draft, which they used to select Russell Westbrook out of UCLA. In their first season together, Russ and KD had excellent individual seasons, but the team struggled, finishing with a 23-59 record. On the other hand, that secured the Thunder another high draft pick.
With the 3rd pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select James Harden of Arizona State University.
Nobody knew it back then, but that marked the greatest 3-year stretch in draft history, especially if you count that in 2008, OKC also selected a premier defensive player, Serge Ibaka, who joined the team in 2009 after completing 1 season in Europe. With their core 4 players, a defensive...
They have a big 4, bro. Bro, they went to the finals in 2012 against LeBron and the Heat.
Specialist Thabo Sefolosha and athletic swingman Jeff Green, the Thunder had the most athletic team in the NBA, and they finished the 2010 season with 50 wins. KD won his first scoring title with 30 points per game and finished second in the MVP voting behind LeBron.
2015 was honestly their year if they didn't get rid of Harden, bro. Because who won 2012? The Heat won 2012. Who won 2013? I think it was it the Heat again? Or the Spurs won 14. Bro, 2015, it should have been their year, bro.
LeBron James. But in the playoffs, OKC proved to be too inexperienced, and they lost to the later champion LA Lakers in 6 games. However, with more experience behind LeBron James. But in the playoffs, OKC proved to be too inexperienced, and they lost to the later champion LA Lakers in 6 games. However, with more experience and continuity, in 2011, the Thunder improved once again. With 27.7 points per game, KD won another
greatest
scoring
score of all time right here, bro.
title. Westbrook Westbrook averaged 22 points and 8 assists, which got him to his first All-Star game. Harden was scoring 12 off the bench and was in consideration for the 6th Man of the Year, while Ibaka patrolled the paint with 2.4 blocks per game. But midway through the season, OKC traded their third leading scorer, Jeff Green.
The Celtics are about to trade Kendrick Perkins and Nate Robinson to Oklahoma City.
First mistake right there.
In exchange for Jeff Green and Nenad Kristic.
And brought in Kendrick Perkins from the Celtics. Now, most fans associate Perk with wild takes on ESPN.
Like I said, when I used to have to walk in the cafeteria and I had them high water pants on because I couldn't afford the long jeans, I had to be ready to clap back and people used to make fun of me.
But back in 2011, Big Perk was one of the best post defenders in the NBA, and OKC traded for him to battle Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum, who destroyed them in the 2010 playoffs. The Thunder won 55 games in the regular season, which was the best result for the franchise since the 90s and the era of Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton. In the first round of the playoffs, OKC strolled past the Nuggets in 5 games, with 32 points per game from Durant. In the second round against the Grizzlies, the Perkins trade really showed its worth, battling the tough Memphis front line of Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph.
Yeah, me and him been banging a lot. Sometimes we ain't in the play, but sometimes we locking up each other. I hear you.
Offensively, Russ and KD averaged a combined 50 points per game in the series, and the Thunder advanced in 7 games. And in the conference finals, the young and athletic Thunder were the favorites against the aging Dallas Mavericks. But nobody could stop Dirk during his incredible 2011 title run. Nowitzki averaged 32 points per game with his unstoppable one-legged fadeaway.
Nowitzki, it's gone!
And OKC lost in 5.
Dirk was just on another level with this. It's like the same way Steph was on another level in 2022. That's how Dirk was in 2011, bro. Nobody could stop him. Or he swept the Kobe Lakers 4-0, bro. They just won the ring the previous year. He beat, did he beat Tim Duncan that year too? Well, he beat Thunder, and then I'm pretty sure he beat Tim Duncan. And he beat LeBron, bro.
5 games.
It was just
in the offseason, the Thunder added Reggie Jackson and veteran Derek Fisher to bolster its point guard depth. But even more importantly, they gave Kendrick Perkins a 4-year, $32 million contract. At the time, it seemed like a
give Perk 32, but you can't give James Harden an extra 4?
no-brainer to extend a newly acquired player, who was one of the best defensive centers in the league. However, this contract would soon haunt the Thunder, but more on that later. When the 2012 season started, OKC was deep at every position, and their young stars weren't inexperienced anymore. KD was entering his prime, winning another scoring title with 28 points per game. And on top of his scoring, his numbers improved across the board.
Especially in 2012, bro. There's no such thing as threes right here, bro. There's no such thing as threes.
As he notched career highs in rebounds, assists, blocks, and field goal percentage. Durant was widely considered the second best player in the league, behind LeBron, and he once again finished behind James in the MVP voting.
God, look at this top 10. My childhood right here, bro. Chris Paul. What you know about Clippers Chris Paul? What you know about Tony Parker, man?
Westbrook averaged 23.6 points per game, which was then his career high, and he also received votes for MVP. Ibaka averaged 3.7 blocks per game, which led the NBA.
Feed to Bynum, shot clock at 2. Bynum blocked by Ibaka. Ebanks blocked again by Ibaka.
And he finished second in voting for Defensive Player of the Year. But the biggest improvement came from James Harden, who was in his third season. The Beard averaged 16.8 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.7 assists in 31 minutes.
Bro, he averaged 17, bro. What more do you want him? What more do you want from him, bro? What more?
Minutes off the bench. His 49% from the field and
49% too, bro. 49%
from 3 were, and still are, career highs, as no bench unit was capable of slowing him down. Harden ran away with the 6th Man of the Year, winning the award almost unanimously. With their 4 young stars all having career years and staying healthy the whole season, the Thunder had the 2nd best record in the West and the 2nd best offensive rating in the NBA. OKC avenged their loss to Dallas in the first round, sweeping the Mavericks with a combined 65 points per game from KD, Russ, and Harden. In the second round, their big 3 averaged 67 points, and OKC easily got past Kobe and the Lakers in 5 games.
That's crazy,
and then in
bro.
the conference finals against the San Antonio Spurs.
Imagine like blowing this team up, bro. You beat a great Mavs team, you beat a great Lakers team, and you're about to beat a great Spurs team.
It was KD's show. Durant averaged 30, 7, and 5, with nearly 2 steals and 1.5 blocks per game, shooting 53% from the field.
I don't think y'all
Harden and Westbrook
the majority of those points are 2s. Nowadays, Shea's averaging 30 with 3s.
18 points each, and that kind of firepower was too much for the Spurs as OKC won the series in 6 games, advancing to the NBA Finals.
They just seemed locked in, they seemed focused. They were like sharks in blood-infested waters. They smelled blood.
And there awaited the toughest possible opponent, LeBron James and the Miami Heat. In Game 1, KD continued with stellar shooting, making 60% of his shots for 36 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Westbrook added 27, 8, and 11, and the Thunder struck the first blow, convincingly winning Game 1. Game 2 was the most controversial game of the series. With OKC down by 2 on the final possession, Durant had the ball on the left wing, guarded by LeBron James. While there was definitely contact before KD released the ball, the refs didn't blow the whistle, and Game 2 was the most controversial game of the series. With OKC down by 2 on the final possession, Durant had the ball on the left wing.
You could low-key hit that right there. Like just a quick fadeaway.
Guarded by
elbow and ribs. Ooh,
LeBron
for
James.
sure a foul.
While there was
And
definitely contact before KD released the ball, the refs didn't blow the whistle, and Miami escaped with a win, despite 80 points from the Thunder's big
80 points?
Games 3 and 4 were extremely close, but Miami had cooler heads in the clutch, and they won both games by 6 points. Even though KD and Russ did their thing, especially Westbrook in Game 4 when he scored 43 points, they were missing a contribution from the 6th man of the year. Harden shot 2 for 10 from the field in both games in Miami. And then, in Game 5, Mike Miller had the game of his career, hitting 7 threes, and the game turned into a blowout. LeBron finally won the title, while KD had to settle for second best once again. Durant led all scorers in the finals with 30 points per game on 55% shooting, while Westbrook averaged 27, 6, and 6, while Harden averaged only 12 points per game on 37% shooting and 31% from 3. Still, despite swallowing that bitter pill in the finals, OKC's 4 best players were all under 24 years of age, and they had plenty of chances to get back in the finals ahead of them. However, on October 27, 2012, just 3 days before the season started, the Thunder decided to trade James Harden, sending him to Houston in exchange for Kevin Martin.
The worst trade, bro. Come on, bro. Jeremy Lamb? Come on, man.
Jeremy Lamb,
James
and
Harden?
2 first-round picks.
They didn't want to give Harden the max. Their position was everyone who's re-signed here has sacrificed a little something, even Durant, even Russell Westbrook, so they were looking for Harden to be willing to take a little less than the max.
Even though some people believed that OKC made a smart move because James Harden had poor finals performance and because Kevin Martin was a proven scorer who averaged 22 points per game in the previous 5 seasons, the general consensus was that Houston robbed OKC and that the Thunder received 40 cents on the dollar. However, the truth turned out to be much different, and OKC actually received far less than anyone could have expected in what would end up being one of the worst trades in NBA history. But why did the Thunder trade Harden and break up their young core? Well, there are multiple reasons for it, and the biggest and most important reason was money. In August 2012, some 2 months after the finals, OKC gave Serge Ibaka a 4-year, $48 million extension. Given the fact that Durant and Westbrook already signed max contracts, and the new deals for Perkins and Ibaka, OKC was running out of money to pay Harden. Back then, the salary cap was maxed at just $58 million, with the luxury tax set at $70 million. Any team whose salary exceeded $70 million would pay $1 extra on top of every dollar over the luxury cap. So if a team had $80 million worth of player salaries, they would end up paying $90 million. In today's NBA, this seems like pocket change when you consider that in 2025, if a team had $80 million,
90, bro, that's still great. Like, you have 4 Hall of Famers, bro.
dollars worth of player salaries, they would end up paying $90 million.
Ibaka might have been Hall of Fame. He's not right now, but he could have been Hall of Famer with them 4.
In today's NBA, this seems like pocket change when you consider that in 2025, the Suns owner Matt Ishbia will pay over $400 million for players' salaries plus the luxury tax. But back in 2012, team revenues weren't as big, especially for small market teams like OKC, who only received a small piece of the local marketing and TV revenue. much less than the biggest franchises like the Knicks or the Lakers. And with the introduction of the repeater tax for the 2013-2014 season, for every $5 million over the tax threshold, the tax rate would increase, costing the teams way more than ever before. OKC management was concerned about having a consistent luxury tax-paying team, as they believed that the salary cap would not significantly increase in the future, which was a huge mistake. So, with all that in mind, the Thunder first offered Harden a 4-year, $52 million extension, which Harden refused, as he wanted a full $60 million max deal. Then OKC increased their offer to $56 million, which further offended James, who considered himself a max player. And rightfully so, not willing to pay Harden the full max, which would cost OKC $4 million more, the Thunder decided to trade the Beard, which was wrong on so many levels. First of all, Harden still had 1 year left on his rookie contract, which means that OKC didn't have to do anything and could have let James play out the 2012-2013 season for $5.8 million. And then, if any other team offered him a max contract in the 2013 season, OKC had the right to match it and keep Harden. So, if they just did nothing, they could have kept their big three and possibly won the title in 2013. Also, they could have used the amnesty clause on either Nick Collison or Kendrick Perkins in 2012 or 2013 and helped their salary cap that way. If the Thunder had given Harden the full $60 million he wanted, they would have him under contract until 2017, when the salary cap increased to $94 million and the luxury tax stood at $113 million. And Harden's contract would have been the biggest bargain in the NBA. But OKC completely misjudged the incredible rise in NBA revenue and the huge spike in the cap. And when the 2012-2013 season started, Harden immediately showed the Thunder what kind of mistake they had made. In his first game as a Rocket, the Beard scored 37 points, with 6 rebounds, 12 assists, and 4 steals. In his second game, he was even better, scoring 45 points and setting the NBA record for most points in the first 2 games with a new team. Harden averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in his first year in Houston, showing incredible offensive versatility and the ability to run an entire offense basically by himself. When James played with KD and Russ, his offensive talent was somewhat tamed as a third option, and the fact that the NBA was still running old-school offensive sets with 2 traditional big men in the paint certainly didn't help. But even without Harden, OKC still had more talent than almost any other team in the NBA, and they finished the 2013 season with 60 wins, the best record in the West, and the best net rating in the entire league. And as fate would have it, the Thunder and James Harden Rockets met in the first round of the playoffs, where OKC were the heavy favorite. And the Thunder played accordingly, blowing out the Rockets in Game 1 and winning Game 2. However, that second victory came with a heavy price. After a collision with Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook tore his meniscus and was ruled out for the season. Thanks to KD's off.
He got threats. Like I remember Patrick Beverley actually talked about this like a year ago. He's like people DM'd him that they were gonna K him, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say because TOS. They were gonna K him, bro. Like literally, they said, and I heard that he also said that the cops had to escort him to his hotel and to the arena. It was insane, bro.
And a more talented team overall, the Thunder still managed to win the series 4-2 without Russ. But in the second round, they were easy prey to the grit and grind Grizzlies, who were in the prime of their 5-year run as a contender. In 2014, Westbrook had to undergo a second knee surgery, and he only played in 46 games. But that fully unleashed Kevin Durant, who was now the focal point of the offense, resulting in a career-high 32 points per game and the long-desired MVP award. KD had finished second to LeBron James in MVP voting 3 times, and when he finally won the Most Valuable Player, he delivered one of the most memorable speeches in NBA history.
You went to sleep hungry? You sacrificed for us? You the real MVP.
The Thunder won 59 games in the regular season, and with Westbrook regaining full health towards the end of the season,
the injury report for the Thunder, none. In the starting lineup, Russell Westbrook, his first game since Christmas Day, following the 3rd knee surgery within a year.
they were once again a title contender. In the first round of the 2014 playoffs, OKC avenged the loss to the Grizzlies from the previous season, winning the series in 7 games. In the second round, they got past the Clippers in 6, with KD and Westbrook combining for 61 points per game in the series. However, in the conference finals, the Thunder had no answer for the Spurs and their offensive versatility, losing 4 games to 2. It was the 4th time in 5 years that OKC lost against the team that won the title, proving how close they were each year. And then, in 2015, a complete disaster. The Thunder's title hopes were thrown out the window after 2 months of the season when KD got hurt.
He's hurt, holding his right ankle.
Durant played in just 27 games.
Imagine if he didn't get injured, bro. Steph Curry wouldn't be the Steph Curry that we know today. The Warriors wouldn't be the Warriors that we know today. The Cavs wouldn't be the Cavs that we know today.
It was before a foot injury sidelined him for the rest of the season. And despite Russell Westbrook leading the NBA in scoring with 28.1 points per game, OKC missed the playoffs by 1 game. But then in 2016, per game, OKC missed the playoffs.
Who took it? Pelicans took it over them. Wow. Damn.
By 1 game. But then in 2016, things started to improve. Not only did they get KD back, but OKC's front line was maybe better than ever, with Ibaka, Steven Adams, and the offensive talent of Enes Kanter, who finished 3rd in the 6th Man of the Year voting. And with Russ and KD both finishing top 5 and voting for MVP, it seemed like 2016 was finally gonna be their year. OKC finished off Dallas in 5 games, got past the Spurs in 6, and in the conference finals against the 73-9 Warriors, they had a 3-1 lead. And it looked like a lock to make another NBA Finals.
I can't see 2 sharks in Durant and Russell Westbrook in blood-infested waters that is the Golden State Warriors. And I don't see them I can't see how they'll pass on chomping them to bits.
But Golden State won Game 5, despite 71 points from Russ and KD.
How many points did the whole team have?
Game 6 was played in OKC, and in front of their home crowd, the Thunder had an 8-point lead going into the 4th quarter, and then it all fell apart. KD and Russ shot a combined 3 for 14 from the field in the 4th, with 6 turnovers and 0 assists. In fact, the whole Thunder team had 0 assists in the 4th, as they only made 5 field goals, while on the other side, Klay Thompson scored 19 points, outscoring the whole OKC team by himself, and leading the Warriors to victory. And in Game 7, it was a similar story. OKC held a 5-point lead at the half, but they completely fell apart in the 3rd quarter. And they never recovered from the double-digit deficit they faced as the Warriors proceeded to the finals while another Thunder season went down the drain. But what was even worse than blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals was losing one of the best players of all time. And to add insult to injury, they were losing him for free.
Kevin is a guy that obviously, myself and including other guys we all want back here with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but at the same time, he has to make a decision that best fits him.
I have nothing to do with this. This is Kevin's decision.
I'm confident, yeah. Of course, where are you gonna go? Tell me. After what we did this year in the playoff, where? If you go somewhere, I don't know. Tell me where.
Kevin Durant was a free agent after the 2016 season, and he decided he'd had enough, signing with the Golden State Warriors, who had just defeated him in the playoffs. Just like LeBron James in 2010, KD went through media and fan torture, who called him a coward, a cupcake, and God knows what else.
How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar.
He weakened another team, and he's kind of gravy training on a terrific Warriors team.
Weaken that team.
It won't be the same as being the bus driver instead of being a bus rider.
It was like, all right, bro, you made your decision. Like, you got to stay over there. Hey, let's beat them. Like, now it's like, bump that. I'm glad he over there. Let's deal with this.
But all KD wanted was a change of scenery. He wanted a new challenge and to further develop his basketball talent, something he felt he could no longer do with the Thunder.
They want to win. That's the biggest thing in this league is winning a championship. It's time to get it done.
Durant, Westbrook, and Harden when he was there were all players who needed the ball in their hands to be effective. KD and Harden were masters of isolation, able to score against anybody one-on-one, slowly dissecting their opponents before finding a chink in their armor. Russ was arguably the deadliest transition player in the NBA, but he was also able to create separation against his primary defender. And to have 3 such players on the same team is the most valuable thing in the NBA. All 3 players could run any offensive system, but the problem was that OKC never really had anything resembling a system. They had a few plays that they rotated every few possessions, but that was more or less it. The Thunder's offense was mostly about changing its focal point. One time the focus was on Russ, another time it was on Harden, and the next time on Durant.
Keep trusting in it. Keep trusting it. Yeah. You gotta be aggressive early, all right?
Towards the end of their run, when their lackluster coach Scott Brooks got replaced by Billy Donovan in 2015, they tried to develop some kind of pick and roll between Russ and KD. But if the action didn't go right at the start, they would quickly revert to isolations. OKC managed to acquire the best players, but something was always off, and they couldn't ever function as a unit.
Don't try to pull us apart. I mean, we all in this together. Serge's not on a separate team. Kevin's not on a separate team. I'm not on a separate team. We on Oklahoma City Thunder.
Jordan struggled to win until the Bulls incorporated the triangle offense, and the Heat didn't win their titles until Eric Spoelstra used the positionless motion system that enabled LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh to Spoelstra use the positionless motion.
LeBron tried to fire Spoelstra. If you think about it, if LeBron fired Spoelstra, would they have even won the finals? Like,
motion system that enabled LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh to play within their strengths. It can't be said that the Thunder weren't an efficient team, but the reason for that was that they were just more talented than everybody, and very few teams could stop their superstars one-on-one. But despite their efficiency, OKC played an ugly brand of basketball. From 2010 to 2016, the Thunder finished in the top 3 in the number of free throws made 4 times, and in the top 10 in all 7 seasons. This was largely due to their stuck-in-the-mud offense, which had no solution but to draw fouls as a main way of scoring. OKC was able to dominate against less talented teams, but when they ran into the best teams that could match their star power, they got into trouble. And that's why it's hard to blame KD for leaving. When he got to Golden State, he finally played with shooters, cutters, and ball movement, which allowed his basketball...
Warriors' offense is completely different to what we just saw Russ do right there. Like Steph Curry said in an interview one time, he said that the ball is like a bomb, that it's going to detonate in 3 seconds if you don't pass it up. And that ball detonated.
Ball genius to truly blossom, win 2 NBA championships, and become the best player in the world. And on the Thunder side of things, after they lost KD, they also traded Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, he's 26 years old, he's big, he can block shots and shoot the 3. The Thunder get Victor Oladipo. And the man the Magic drafted tonight, Domantas Sabonis.
Without KD and Harden, Russ was unleashed, and he had a season for the ages. Westbrook had 42 triple-doubles in 2017, leading the NBA in scoring, and averaging a triple-double for the whole season, something that was considered impossible and hadn't been done since Oscar Robertson in the 60s.
What Oscar did with the triple-double, that would never happen ever again. Never in history of the game.
But OKC wasn't even a threat in the playoffs, losing 4-1 in the first round against James Harden's Rockets.
The series is over.
And then GM Sam Presti made another splash, trading Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George, and OKC had 2 of the 10 best players in the NBA once again. But Presti wasn't done dealing, also acquiring Carmelo Anthony to be
I think this was not good for the Thunder, getting 3 ball-dominant players again. I think they should have went for someone besides Carmelo, like build around Paul George and Russ, instead of having those 3 have their own show. If they got like a defender here, probably like another shooter, that would have been maybe like 10 times better for the Thunder. Instead of getting Carmelo Anthony, who's basically like he just stays in the post and posts up in the ball, the possession ends. It would have been interesting.
Third superstar, and it looked like the Thunder could bounce back from losing Harden and KD, but the whole season turned into a fiasco.
How do you feel about starting at the 4, or the concept of starting at the 4?
So they were missing a 4 basically too,
or even coming off the bench. And the second question is,
me?
Oh.
Carmelo never found his footing with the other two stars, and the whole team looked like an inefficient bunch of individuals rather than a true contender. The same story continued in 2019. Carmelo left, Dennis Schroeder and Jeremy Grant emerged as young stars next to Russ and Paul George, but somehow things went wrong once again. PG-13 came into the playoffs with 2 bad shoulders. Russ wasn't very efficient once again. And after another first-round playoff exit,
that bad shot, bro.
Sam Presti realized it was
That's probably
tough.
the greatest shot in playoff history. Ray Allen is up there, but man, bro, he shot that, bro. Where did he? Look how far he is, bro. Ray Allen was down here, bro. He was at least in the 3-point line. This dude is, he's like in the other side of the freaking world. God damn.
Sam Presti realized.
And he didn't have to shoot that. Look at the score. It's 115 up.
Sam Presti realized it was time to press the reset button.
You know, I think the world of PG. I think everybody knows that.
Paul George was gone, and so was Russ, the last member of the original Thunder Big Three.
Okay.
For an entire decade, OKC was a title contender, but they were always a couple of inches short of going all the way. If they were a little bit braver and gave those extra $4 million to Harden, who knows the greatness they could have achieved.
Here is Durant for the win!
That is crazy, bro.